everybody. Today I'd like to talk about the idea of productivity. Basically, the hustle, the grind, how we're all trying to get a lot done, how our to-do lists are very, very long, and a lot of times our mental and physical well-being, spiritual well-being falls by the wayside because we are stuck in the grind. And I've been thinking a lot this week about this hustle culture that we live in, or this grinding culture, I guess you could say. Um, those are strange words to choose, but um, this work ethic that has been indoctrinated in many of us, and that is a very deep part of our culture, that you have to be working hard all the time, that you have to be quote unquote productive. You have to have a lot of output in whatever area of life you are living and working. And that we're supposed to do this in every area of our lives. We're supposed to excel at work. We're supposed to raise great kids. If you're a parent, we're expected to uh, be a good friend, be a good spouse, be a good son or daughter, and just do everything right and juggle all our responsibilities perfectly and never fall down in any of these areas. So I believe we live in a culture where productivity and hard work have been indoctrinated in many of us to the extent that it just seems like a way of life. The hustle, the grind, the do more, put out more, um, achieve more, seems to be a recording that runs in our heads a lot of the time. Okay, the hustle and grind, to the point where we get so caught up in just running as fast as we can that it damages our relationships, it damages our mental well-being, it damages our sense of self. But how do we get off the hamster wheel, right? It's like we're running, trying to get all these things done. I was talking to a friend earlier today who has a couple of small kids, and she was talking about between her and her husband both working full time and juggling the kids' activities and things, and trying to be good parents and trying to be good partners to one another and trying to excel at work. It just feels like running. And there isn't time to just stop and reflect on that, and to reflect on, what is this doing to me? What is this doing to those that I love? Am I really living a quality life? Am I really going to look back on this in the future and feel that I made good choices? I worry about this phenomenon with a lot of my students too. I see many of my students, trying to work full time and go to school full time and, take 5 classes and really biting off more than they can chew, but refusing to admit that until the point where they get really overwhelmed and they're drowning, because we think we have to achieve and have tremendous output in our lives. I think this hustle and grind phenomenon affects those of us who procrastinate too, or those of us who might feel like we're lazy, or that we never get through our to-do list, or that we never get enough done. I think it affects us too. You've got your type A people who are, you know, you can observe that they're running, but you've got other people who seem maybe to be lazy, laid back, procrastinators, what have you, but the way they're behaving can also be a reaction to this hustle and grind culture. And if I'm describing you, then you know what I mean. There's such pressure that you kind of get stymied and you don't know where to begin. And it just seems like the to-do list keeps growing. Um, there's a saying that, when you die, your inbox will not be empty. Right now, I have, I think, 254 emails in my work email inbox, and they just keep coming. I just hear that ding, ding, ding all day long. And those things start to ramp up your anxiety, right? They do for me. And so we've become a very anxious, nervous culture. We've become people who feel inadequate. We've become people who feel like there aren't enough hours in the day to get it all done, right? So I sometimes call this the tyranny of productivity. And what I reflect on is who's using productivity against us and why, right? Where does this hustle and grind culture come from? Where does this so-called work ethic come from? Who is it who's wanting more and more and more and more of us until we're completely depleted and we just can't do it, to the point where we've lost control of our lives. We've lost control of our own well-being. And I encourage everybody to really reflect on that and to stop thinking about productivity in the same way. Stop thinking that I have to be productive, meaning I have to check off all 100 things on my to-do list, or else I'm a loser and I'm going to go to bed tonight feeling guilty. We have to get away from that mindset and to realize it's not about volume of output, right? Volume of output of work, of writing, of running errands, of doing all these things. And try to turn our focus more toward quality of life and what that takes. And sometimes that might mean you gotta take a day off. You have to. You say, I can't, the world will fall apart. But it's important to remember that the world doesn't have a crank on top that only you can turn, right? If you need to take a weekend off where you would normally work all weekend and take your work home and stuff like that, give yourself that weekend to do something with your friends or family. Sleep in. To me, one of the greatest treats in the world is to go to bed at night without setting an alarm clock. And if you sleep until noon, so what, right? Your body needed the rest. So I encourage all of us to reflect on this idea of productivity and just grinding out output, whatever that form that might take, and to really look at the person in the mirror and realize that your first obligation on earth is to love that person, to nurture that person, to parent that person, to be kind to that person, to look after that person's mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health, because that's how that person in the mirror can be their best and can then give to other people. You can't serve from an empty vessel. Okay, so I encourage all of us this week to reflect on this and think about how you can think about productivity in a new way. And when you go to bed at night and you think, did I have a productive day? Was I productive today? Well, maybe you didn't check off everything on your to-do list, but maybe you made a friend smile, or you sent a text to someone you haven't connected with in a while and it just said, I'm thinking of you, how are you doing, right? Those things are productive for other areas of our lives besides work, okay? Take good care of yourself, and I truly mean that in the deepest sense of the phrase, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.